What's up, YouTube? It's the one and only legend of winning, aka Low, and the NBA season is literally right around the corner, and because of this I decided to make a little bit more videos focusing on what we should be expecting in this upcoming season. And speaking of expectations, in this video what I will be discussing are 4 players that I believe we need to see improve this next season, as they're in situations, or their organizations are in situations where their improvement is desperately needed and possibly could heavily determine the future of not only the organization but also the player as well. And if you want to see if these NBA players improve this upcoming season, the best way to get your tickets is from today's sponsors, and that is SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an amazing platform that allows users to find great pricing on tickets on all the events that you want to enjoy. And with it being towards the end of September and October is right around the corner, that means that this is honestly the perfect time to get the tickets that you want to get for any event that you want to go see. As the MLB playoffs are right around the corner, the NFL is in full effect, and the NBA season is literally a month and a half away. Now I personally use SeatGeek all of the time. Last year I used it several times, regardless if it was me going to a concert or watching a few NBA games, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself not only on the platform but obviously at the event as well. And when it comes to SeatGeek, regardless if it's on the app or the website, it's extremely easy to find the tickets that you're looking for, as the interface is easy to browse through and they color coordinate the seats, so not only do you understand if you're getting a good deal, but if you actually click on the seats itself, you can understand where in the arena that you're sitting, so you know that you have good seats and a good view at whatever you're watching. And if that's not enough, SeatGeek is allowing me to give you all a promo code. All you have to do is type in LOW, L-O-W, and you get $20 off on your first order. And all of the information that you need for this will be in the description box below, so make sure you click the link. It's literally going to be the first link in the description. And a huge shout out goes to SeatGeek for sponsoring this video. Myles Turner is a 6'11" center who plays for the Indiana Pacers, who has a pretty high ceiling in my opinion, however hasn't really met the expectations that is needed from the Pacers at this moment. Over the past 2 to 3 years of Myles Turner's short career, he's definitely shown promise, especially on the defensive end, as he has the lateral quickness and balance to help out on pick and rolls, and for someone who only plays around 30 minutes a game, recording 2 blocks is rather impressive as well. And also let me not forget, for someone who is viewed as more of a defensive minded player, having the ability to space the floor out, especially at the center position, is rather impressive. So Myles Turner is athletically gifted, especially with a 7'4" wingspan, and shows some offensive promise. However, there has been moments in the past 2 to 3 years where he just hasn't shown up, especially in the playoffs, as it seems as if he shies away from contact and aggressive big men such as Tristan Thompson, and really doesn't become that active on the boards. But luckily for Myles Turner, the organization decided to shift in a different direction after they were forced to trade away Paul George and get a little bit younger with Victor Oladipo, which has given Myles Turner a little bit more time to progress as a player. But surprisingly, after that transaction, the Indiana Pacers still stayed afloat and still was a playoff team. Honestly, I believe if Myles Turner is a little bit more aggressive, especially inside, and he becomes a little bit more of an active force when it comes to these offensive game, because I definitely see the progression and the promise on the offensive side for Myles Turner, I believe that he could be a legitimate second option to a team that desperately needs someone to draw on a little bit more attention outside of Victor Oladipo. And I'm not saying that he has to be a 20-point scorer, but if he can be a little bit more aggressive when it comes to scoring, give you somewhere around 15 to 18 points, be a solid rebounder with 10 a game, and make sure he continues to work on his endurance so he can play more than just 28 to 29 minutes a game, I do believe Myles Turner is a very pivotal piece to the Indiana Pacers' success in the near future, especially if they're trying to throw their name in the hat of a lot of other young teams in the Eastern Conference. But there is a possibility that he could plateau, which could be a massive detriment to his future, as Myles Turner is on an expiring contract in the Indiana Pacers, despite the fact that he was the 11th pick in the 2015 draft class, haven't really shown any urgency of signing him to any long-term deal, which again is rather concerning. But I do want to give a huge shout out to Myles Turner, because he has been posting some pics on the gram and on Twitter, and he definitely seems like he's taking it serious, as he's lost a lot of weight and he toned up his muscle. So hopefully we can see some improvement from Myles Turner, and hopefully more people become familiar with his name. DAngelo Russell is a 6'5" point guard who started his career with the Los Angeles Lakers, but unfortunately he was traded to the Brooklyn Nets after the Los Angeles Lakers were poised to go into a different direction as he had the opportunity to draft Lonzo in last year's draft class. Now there has been some theories and some finger pointing to why exactly DAngelo Russell hasn't reached his full potential yet, which I must admit there were some obstacles for DAngelo Russell to overcome, even though some of them were self-inflicting. But again, you can definitely make arguments that there were some obstacles in LA that DAngelo Russell had to overcome to truly meet his true potential. However, we're now at a point in his career where I honestly don't believe that those excuses are no longer valid, as DAngelo Russell has some obvious holes in his game. He's a 6'5" scoring point guard that is rather inconsistent. He's not that great of a playmaker as he turns the ball over pretty consistently within a small amount of time that he's on the court, and defensively, you can kind of just forget about it. And on top of the fact that he is no world-class athlete, and basically you have a scoring point guard who is inconsistent at scoring. And even though, yes, I know last year he did suffer from an injury, but this is really it for DAngelo, as DAngelo Russell is on the last year of his contract, and the organization, despite the fact that they're in a situation where they really and truly need young players, and trust me when I say they're more than likely going to keep D'Lo because how desperate they are for young talent. However, the Brooklyn Nets still have not sat down and talked to DAngelo Russell about his future with the organization and the contract that he should be expecting after this season, as he will be a free agent after this year concludes. Now don't get me wrong, I thoroughly understand that he will be a restricted free agent once the season concludes, and they do have the right to match whatever offer is on the table from any other team. However, when it comes to young players, especially dealing with an organization such as the Brooklyn Nets, they tend to just give them the money when it's deemed necessary, even if it's a year early. And when it comes to DAngelo Russell, I definitely feel like he should be a talented enough player that the organization would desperately want, but trying to figure out what his market value is to try to undercut him in the near future makes me feel like they're not too secure on the type of talent that he is moving forward. DAngelo Russell obviously needs to work on his effort on the defensive end. He obviously needs to work on his playmaking ability. And when it comes to his lack of explosiveness, he's going to have to find out crafty ways to work around defenders, which more than likely will just take time. But the one thing I definitely want to see from DAngelo Russell this upcoming season is his ability to score, because that is something that has been vastly inconsistent so far in his career. I would love to see him average somewhere around 17 to 20 points. His efficiency from the field definitely needs to be above 43% bare minimum, and when it comes to his three ball, it needs to be around league average. But the one big question that I always had about DAngelo Russell, even when he was a Laker, is his ability to lead a team, because that tends to be the responsibility of a point guard. And unfortunately, that's something I really don't see from DAngelo Russell. Lonzo Ball, a player that I'm more than likely don't have to introduce to you all, but it is extremely important that I do tell you this little bit of information. The last player in DAngelo Russell was traded away in hopes that Lonzo Ball would be the face of a franchise that desperately needs to be pushed in a different direction. Lonzo Ball was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers, as we all know, and last year, his rookie season, even though I haven't done a thorough analysis yet on my channel about what happened last year, let's just be honest with ourselves, his rookie season was extremely shaky and it had its ups and downs. When it comes to the positives, he was a way better defender than I originally thought he was going to be. Also, when it comes to his passing ability, he definitely had that out of the gate, and his knack for rebounding is something that, even though it shouldn't be as valued amongst guards as I think a lot of people try to evaluate it now, but it was something that was rather impressive as well to see somebody at the point guard position grab somewhere around 6 or 7 boards on a night-to-night basis. But as we all know, he had massive flaws in his game. Number one, he was nowhere near as aggressive as he needed to be. Also, when it comes to his endurance, which is something that he's talked about multiple times, he obviously was either A, out of shape, or just wasn't prepared properly for the conditioning that it was needed, even as a rookie entering the NBA. But I'm pretty sure we all know the biggest problem with Lonzo, and that is his inability to shoot the basketball. Lonzo last year had stretches that were atrocious, so bad that multiple teams defended him by going underneath pick and rolls, and because he wasn't aggressive like I stated before, not only did it make it easier to guard Lonzo, but it also made it easier for the opposing team to defend the Los Angeles Lakers last year. And I already know a handful of people will tell me, well, Lonzo was only a rookie last year, so you have to give him some slack, but when you put into context that Lonzo shot 30% from behind the arc, 45% 45% from the free throw line, then it doesn't matter how many years you've been in the NBA, that's just unacceptable. Not only that, Lonzo plays for an organization, the Los Angeles Lakers, who have been pushing rather aggressively over the past year or two for veteran players, and this year they actually struck gold by signing LeBron James, which obviously will put them in a playoffs race. And on top of that, the Los Angeles Lakers have been freeing cap to go out and get potentially another big time free agent in the upcoming offseason, which means that Lonzo needs to improve rather quickly. And the cherry on top of all of this isn't necessarily his father going out and claiming that he was going to be the next great point guard in the NBA. It's not even the comparisons between him and Jason Kidd or Magic Johnson. But when you also take into context that Lonzo was drafted in arguably one of the more talented draft classes in the last 5 to 7 years, and players such as Jason Tatum, Lauri Markkanen, and Donovan Mitchell, who in their rookie years were phenomenal. And on top of that, when you take into consideration other young talent that he calls his teammates, such as Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and Kyle Kuzma, who as well was a rookie, and the amount of potential improvement that we've seen out of them so early in their careers, yeah, Lonzo, he cannot plateau this upcoming season. Now, where do I begin? Because in my opinion, Andrew Wiggins is easily one of the most disappointing prospects I've witnessed in the last 3 to 5 years. The type of potential that Andrew Wiggins entered the NBA with was astonishing. The expectation that people placed upon him was pretty unbelievable, but even if he didn't reach those expectations, he was still going to be a solid contributor on a team as the second option. Fast forward a few years into Andrew Wiggins' career, and he hasn't reached any of those benchmarks whatsoever. Defensively, he is really bad and doesn't really show that much effort from time to time. His inability to space the floor with a consistent three-point shot is also something that is lackluster, and his feel for the game is almost non-existent. What's even more scary is that there's so many players who've entered the NBA after Andrew Wiggins has arrived in the league, and in my opinion, they've already surpassed him. We're talking about a player who entered the NBA who had the expectations to be a franchise player, and those expectations have been lowered every single year of his career, and he has still not yet been able to achieve the lowered expectations. As last year, all he was expected to be is a consistent third option and hopefully get a little bit more production out of him on the defensive end, and it's something we still did not see. Now, luckily for Andrew Wiggins, the Minnesota Timberwolves are one of the worst organizations in the NBA, so they overpaid for him. So he doesn't have to worry about what he's going to get financially when it comes to any team offering what he believes he's worth. Now, but I will say this about Andrew Wiggins. The Minnesota Timberwolves are in a situation where they could potentially lose Jimmy Butler after the season concludes. And in my honest opinion, regardless of how dominant and the potential that Karl-Anthony Towns has in that organization, and along with the plethora of veteran role players that they have on that team, that organization, that roster, that team will not be a consistent playoff team without Jimmy Butler unless Andrew Wiggins is able to take that next step. And again, I don't think anybody is expecting Andrew Wiggins to be the next Kobe Bryant or Tracy McGrady that so many people attempted to label him when he was a rookie. At this point, all you gotta do is just be a consistent third option. Be Otto Porter, be Chris Middleton, be more efficient, a little bit more consistent, and show some effort on the defensive end, which is something that may not translate to the box score, but it should translate in the amount of wins that the organization should win with or without Jimmy Butler. But with that being said, people, please let me know what you think about the video in the comment section below, and also let me know of any players that I may have missed, of any players that desperately need to improve this upcoming season. And also a huge shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this video. Like I stated before, all of the important links will be in the description, right at the top of the description, so make sure you click on the link. And until next time, I will see you all later. Peace.